Looking for real, reliable heat from a 12-volt friendly setup that actually keeps a freezing car or SUV comfortable? This countdown walks through 6 heaters that deliver, with honest takeaways from hands-on style testing and the kind of quirks you only notice after a night in the cold. Number 6. VEVOR 8kW Diesel Heater. Right away, the VEVOR 8kW stands out with wide 12-volt 24-volt compatibility, Bluetooth app control, a handheld remote, and an on-unit display, which sounds great on paper when you're juggling gloves, gear, and a fogged windshield. Just tap the app and it spins up while you're still zipping your jacket, which is honestly convenient. Noise is capped around the mid-70s dB range with a muffler and isolated pump, so conversation is fine nearby, but in a compact cabin you'll still hear the fan and a light pump cadence at higher output. Warm-up is brisk. Expect rapid heat through an aluminum exchanger and a noticeable temp rise in a mid-size vehicle within minutes. Startup draws spike near 140 watts before settling into 15 to 50 watts depending on level, which a typical 12-volt power station can handle if you're not already running a lot of other accessories. Fuel use sits roughly in the 0.16–0.62 liter per hour band, so a small tank gets you an evening of comfort without constant refills. And the output air can get to, wow, that's hot, quickly at max, handy if doors have been open. You get altitude compensation and a built-in CO alarm that beeps at high concentration and can trigger a safety shutdown, which, is reassuring when you've sealed the cabin to trap heat. It's the kind of feature that takes the edge off using a combustion heater near sleeping passengers. Number 5. HCALORY 2kW Diesel Heater. Dropping to 2 kW doesn't mean dropping useful warmth. This compact HCALORY keeps a small car or the front row of an SUV toasty, especially if you run it a few minutes before you actually sit down. Startup is clean without the smoky cough cheaper clones get, and once lit, it sips power modestly. A tester-style run explores fuel use across high, medium, and low with electricity draw and CO checks, which is exactly what you want for parking lot nights. Predictable runtime and safe readings with ventilation. You get multi-mode control, remote LCD, and app on comparable models, and clear feedback on levels so you can balance noise against heat. On low, it hums more than buzzes, and the pump tick drops into the background with the right hose routing. For small spaces like a compact crossover or a trunk bivy, the 2 kW output avoids the roast then freeze cycle and just holds a comfortable plateau, which is honestly nicer for sleeping. CO awareness during use matters. With proper exhaust path and a cracked window, levels stayed in a safe range in practical tests, which boosts confidence if you're running it for hours while dozing. Still, a separate CO detector in cabin is smart because, peace of mind. Power draw is friendly to small power stations or a vehicle battery for extended sessions, and warm airflow is consistent without the heater breathes. Surging you can get with poorly tuned pumps. Number 4. BreAro Diesel Heater. BreAro's portable form factor makes it easy to stash and deploy, with a tidy all-in-one layout that suits daily drivers where you don't want a permanent install. Think trunk to front seat hose and you're golden for defogging and hand warming without cracking the dash. The package typically includes remote app control and a clear panel readout, so you can set and forget from the driver's seat, which, is exactly the point on frosty mornings. What stands out is the balance. Enough punch to raise a cabin's temp sensibly, but controllable so you aren't overshooting and getting that hot head, cold feet syndrome. It pushes steady warm air with good fan modulation. Safety-wise, having alarms and overheat protection aligns with the better breed of portables. You still need proper venting and spacing, but it's set up to avoid silly mistakes. In use, the fan tone is smoother than the pump tick, so repositioning the pump and adding the included muffler makes the acoustic profile genuinely livable in compact spaces. At mid-levels, chatter fades to a background whir. Compatibility with 12-volt setups keeps it flexible across cars, SUVs, and small vans, and the included hoses are long enough to route intelligently without hotspots kissing plastics. There's also the practicality of fast starts. The exchanger gets hot quickly, and the outlet air feels immediate, which helps clear glass and get fingers mobile again, small comforts that feel huge at 6 a.m. after an overnight freeze. 3. Sunster TB10PRO. Sunster's TB10PRO takes a very modern tack. Bluetooth control, monitoring, and an integrated CO safety approach make it feel like a heater built for people who live in their vehicles or do long overnights. The control scheme is intuitive: phone, remote, or panel, so if you're tucked into a sleeping bag, you can bump the heat without talking yourself into leaving the cocoon, which is priceless at 3 a.m. Thermally, you get fast outlet temps and quiet-ish operation. Output air measured near the high 190 degrees Fahrenheit at the register in testing, which translates into rapid cabin recovery after opening a door, exactly what you want when someone runs for coffee. Noise caps around 60 dB in practical checks with decent routing, and casing temperatures remain cool to the touch away from the exhaust path, which reduces anxiety about where you set it in a crowded trunk bay. Fuel economy is sensible. On lower and mid levels it sips, climbing as you crank it, which means an all-nighter won't destroy your reserves. Power draw in steady state hovered around the upper 30s of watts in testing, making it a friend to modest power stations and auxiliary batteries. Startup surges are there but not outrageous, and it lights cleanly without the smoky drama that makes you crack everything open in the cold. Safety features feel thoughtful. Co-awareness, overheat protection, and stable exhaust temperatures with well-routed piping. Spot checks showed very hot exhaust components, but a cool chassis, which is the right trade-off when you're packing it near fabrics. 2. HCALORY 8 kW diesel air heater. If your use case is bigger cabins, repeated door cycles, or legit cold snaps, the HCALORY 8 kW brings the muscle while staying civilized. It supports altitude operation with a dedicated mode, which is a lifesaver if your winter routes climb fast. Control options mirror the best app, remote, and panel, so you can dial it from the driver's seat or the back after building a quick sleeping platform. Output is powerful and quick. Raise a chilled SUV from the high 50s to comfortable room temp in a reasonable span without feeling like the fan is screaming, and then settle into a lower duty cycle to maintain. The pump isolation and muffler do real work here, cutting the old school tick and letting you run mid-levels with a steady, less intrusive whoosh, which, makes conversations possible. Fuel economy scales with output, of course, but the larger 1.6-gallon tanks on similar toolbox designs translate into long sessions between fills. At moderate levels, you're in sleep-through-the-night territory, reliably. The app's altitude support and tuning make combustion cleaner up high, reducing smell and soot, which matters for longevity and your sanity with light-colored gear. Power demands are within reach of compact power stations or a healthy vehicle battery. Steady-state draw in the low hundreds of watts is not required here. Once lit, it cruises sensibly, with brief spikes only during ignition or aggressive ramp-ups. In testing, startup reliability was strong. No smoke clouds, no failed lights, just heat on demand. 1 Woplusro diesel heater. The top spot goes to Woplusro's 8 kW U-Class all-in-one for its blend of quiet operation, multi-voltage flexibility, and honest-to-goodness comfort. 12-volt, 24-volt, or 110-volt AC with an included adapter means it works in the driveway, at a campsite, or plugged into the garage without a new power plan. It's tuned to be quieter than earlier gen diesels, taming the pump tick and smoothing fan tone so you can actually rest while it runs in the back of an SUV. In testing, outlet air shot past 190 degrees Fahrenheit at the duct on high, delivering that instant thaw feeling on fingers and glass. Thermal gun checks showed exhaust hardware hitting the 240-284 degrees Fahrenheit band, while the unit's shell stayed cool to the touch, exactly what you want when it's surrounded by cargo and jackets. Noise readings clustered near 60 dB in realistic layouts, which is library room calm for a combustion heater and a huge quality of life win. Fuel use is frugal for the heat you get, roughly several ounces per hour at low power, climbing with output, so a 1.6-gallon class tank can run all night and then some. That means fewer midnight refills and more actual sleep. Power draw once running lands around the high 30s of watts in practical tests, leaving headroom on small power stations and not bullying a vehicle battery the way resistive 12-volt heaters do, which is, the whole advantage of diesel air heaters. Final thought, that's all for today, folks.